नमस्कार कनक टीवी स्वतंत्र कार्यक्रम को स्वागत आम सहित आज अच्छा विशिष्ट क्रिकेट कमेंटेटर हर्ष भोगले आसतु सहित कथा हबा वेलकम Harsha to our studio. We are extremely glad to have you here with us today.
Delighted. I'm not used to being on the other side, but I'll try.
We'll start from the beginning. So you're an engineer with a degree from IIMA and you had a promising advertising career. So how did it all happen? You decided to quit your job and take up commentary as a full-time profession.
Well, it became a full-time profession as it went along. It wasn't always to start off with, because you only had All India Radio and Doordarshan in those days. But I learned something very important as a result, which is that if you want to be in the media, you can't only say, I'm a radio commentator or I'm a television commentator. I learned to write 3,000-word articles. I learned to write 800-word articles. I learned to do 40-second match reports. I learned to do 3-minute resumes. You've got to be able to do all that. And then when television became a career, I was in the right place at the right time. So I was fairly ready for it. So like everything else in life, it evolves. One stage always leads to the other.
Right. When we talk about commentators, you are aptly described as the voice of Indian cricket and alongside cricketing legends like Sunil Gavaskar and Ravi Shastri and Alan Wilkins and Jeff Boycott. You're considered as the top commentators. So, but you don't have a cricketing background. That's what everybody thinks in the first go. So, were you the odd one out? Was it a challenge to...
So, I can be the person everybody can be, right? I mean, you look at a Gavaskar, 10,122 runs. You look at Ravi Shastri, we had 80 test matches for India. You're now getting Saurav Ganguly and you're getting Rahul Dravid in. Rahul Dravid, 10,000 runs in either form of the game. Saurav Ganguly, great captain. So I'm the guy everybody can be. They are the people that others cannot be. But I think a cricket match is more than just scores, numbers, technique, winning, losing. Winning, losing comes into it. Sport is all about emotion. To me, it's real life drama. Unlike a scripted serial or a scripted cinema, there's something happening in front of you all the time and you don't know what's going to happen next. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. And there's enormous drama. Can you imagine you're facing the last ball of a World Cup final and everybody is watching you? It's as much about your skill as the person you are, about the ability to handle the pressure. And I think I'm able to tell the story of a cricket match. I may not be able to tell the technical side of the game, or I may not have dressing room stories to tell, but I can convey the emotion of a game. And I think there's two aspects to cricket broadcast. There's deep, intimate knowledge of the game, without which you cannot do it. So there I might miss out with a Saurav or a Rahul or a Gavaskar. But also there's the ability to tell a story and communicate, your language skills, your communication skills. There's two sides that come into it. So I think they come from one part, I come from the other part, and we mix and do quite well.
You have very aptly described cricket as the longest running soap opera on TV. I think it was the TED Talk.
Yes.
So there the talk was called The Rise of India and the Rise of Cricket. So how would you relate the two?
I think all sport reflects the time that you live in. And I think as India evolved, as India opened its doors to markets, and look at the change it's made in television studios, look at the change it's made in the way newspapers are produced. I think everything started to change, and because budgets grew, markets grew, a new generation came in, players became more worldly wise, their paychecks started increasing, their income from endorsements maybe grew. It was all still linked to how well you played. That never changed. But if you played well, your doors opened, you became more global power, you became a global entity, you became better known. So I think cricket has very, very well reflected the change in society. It moved from a 5-day game to a 50 or 100 over game, 50 overs, two sides. But with the arrival of email, with the arrival now increasingly of Twitter, of WhatsApp, of lower attention spans, cricket has to evolve. And I think cricket has done a magnificent job of evolving into what we call a 120-ball game, a 20-over game. So I think cricket has mirrored the changes in society, it has mirrored the changes in markets, and cricket must always stay relevant to the people who are watching it. If the people who are watching want a 120-ball game, you cannot say, I will imprison you for 5 days. It's not that I don't like Test cricket, but suppose people want news in a 1-minute capsule. You cannot say, I will give you the story in 3 hours, when all they want to watch is a minute. You cannot tell people, here is an 8,000-word review of a movie, when all they want is 60 words. So I think we have to evolve. I think cricket is doing a wonderful
So
job
do
of
you think
doing
the 2020 format is, slowly killing the limited overs in the test?
that. I don't think anyone kills anybody. I think it is what the people want.
Right.
So for example, if you're seeing a cinema, if you're seeing a film, can you have a 12-minute alap of Rag Bhageshri in it? Maybe there is a place for Rag Bhageshri where people come to listen to Rag Bhageshri. But if they're coming to a cinema, a movie, you cannot give them 12 minutes of Rag Bhageshri. So test cricket will have its place, but increasingly I think you will find that with shorter attention spans, with younger demographics, with people who don't follow the game as well, they understand T20 better. Test cricket will remain a connoisseur's game, but I think we have to respect changing times. We cannot say, you like T20, therefore you're terrible, you're the scum of the earth, we don't like you, you must like test cricket. No, we can't say that because he decides or she decides what she wants to see.
Right. So be it 2020 or test or one-day internationals, we've seen India is obsessed with cricket. Do you think cricket is overhyped? The emotions attached to it when it comes to reactions with wins and losses?
You know, you must look and see why that is happening. I think there are 2 or 3 reasons why that is happening. For a long time, politically, India wasn't doing very well. Economically, India wasn't doing very well. And yet there's a great pride within the people of India. Where does that pride go and reside? You can say it resides in the Indian army, you can say it resides in the Indian farmer, and it resides to whoever represents India. There were not enough people representing India. Indian hockey occupied that spot for a while, but gave it away very quickly. So Indian cricket was where people could identify with their Indianness. That's what's happening in Pakistan at the moment. There's a great deal of pride around that Pakistan cricket team because they represent Pakistan. So I think that is how it started, that cricket became a way of expressing your Indianness.
Yes, so much so that we actually have no room for other sports in our country. But with
that
kabaddi,
was the other reason.
But with the kabaddi coming in and ISL coming in and badminton, so what do you think the future scenario is going to be?
Look, the way the other sports were run and the way the other sports continue to be run in India, they actually do a very, very good job of driving everybody towards cricket. Because it's almost as if they're saying, we will continue to be run like that. Look at the way, what are the kind of facilities our Asian Games athletes get? But if you make your Asian Games athletes into big stars and you say, here is Mary Kom. Now, can you imagine how times have changed? You made a movie on Mary Kom. I meet Mary Kom. I meet Rahul Dravid and I feel fine about meeting Rahul Dravid. I've met Tendulkar for 24 years. But I meet Mary Kom and I'm a bit like this, I say, wow, this woman is something else. But that could happen because the media told you the story of Mary Kom. Has the media told you the story of Sushil Kumar and Yogeshwar Dutt enough? Has the media told you the story of S.V. Sunil and Mandeep Singh and all these young people? There's a new player called Manpreet Singh coming up, young hockey player. Sardar Singh is a brilliant player. Has the media told you these stories yet? Not yet, because of the way they've been projected in their sport. And I really don't have time.
The media hadn't told us about Kailash Satyarthi as well.
There you are. Yeah. I don't have too much time for people who say that cricket is hogging all the attention, is dragging all the money away. No, you don't bring someone down because you cannot rise to that level. And that's why I'm so excited about the Indian Super League. I'm so excited about the Pro Kabaddi League. I thought the Premier Hockey League a few years ago was a wonderful thing, but the administration ruined it for everybody else. By now, the Premier Hockey League would have been big. So I don't have much time for people who say that cricket is taking away other people's money. No, you've got to rise and aspire to get there.
What do you think of politicians running sports bodies?
If they love sport very, very deeply, and they want to put the sport above their own ambition and genuinely think that India should become big, I have absolutely no problem with them running sport. But if they are there for a little fiefdom, if they are there to say it's all about me and I don't really love sport, then the faster they leave, the better it will be for Indian sport. Indian sports administration, Indian federations have trampled upon Indian sport and treated it mercilessly for too many years.
So you've written a book, co-written a book with your wife Anita. So in a world where a lot of men find it really difficult to coexist with their wives, so how was it co-writing a book with your wife?
It was one of the best writing experiences of my life. I think marriage is built on 2 very, very powerful foundations. It's built on respect and it's built on trust. And if you can't give those, then you're essentially a sad person. So it was very easy because there was respect for each other. Just as in a cricket commentary box, I bring one set of skills and a Rahul Dravid and a Ganguly and a Gavaskar and a Shastri bring a different set of skills. So too in writing a book, I brought one set of skills and she brought another set of skills. She's a very rigorous person. So when you have trust and respect, working together is not a problem at all.
So both of you have turned entrepreneurs as well. So how's
But actually she has and I help her.
So how's it doing business together?
She drives it and I'm largely the support function. I tend to be the face for better or worse, and she's the content. She's the foundation. I think I'm the interior designer.
Coming back to cricket, we say cricket is huge in India, parallel to a religion and in a lot of countries. But the cricketing body is being so rich, so financially well off. Why hasn't cricket spread to more countries? Why do we see cricket being played in very limited countries?
Because it's not easily understood in a lot of other countries. It requires skills that take years to learn. Look at football, for example. It's the world's greatest sport. Okay, the world's most popular sport. I still think cricket is the greatest sport. But football, you have a ball and you have two sticks, which can be goal posts, and how many people can play the game? If you see, one of the reasons that cricket has grown in India is also its simplicity. You have a plank of wood, you have a rubber ball, and you have a stone, or as some of us played, two slippers put there, and an imaginary line that sort of everyone agrees upon is the height of the stumps. And so many people can play. But I think for a long time, cricket didn't try to spread. And I still think that there are some people who think that cricket should be limited. For example, if you keep saying Test cricket is the only form of the game, do you think the Chinese and the Americans will understand Test cricket?
No.
But if you take T20 to them,
right,
they understand it much easier. But I agree, the future of the game, you have to go to China, you have to go to the US. But it's a tough one. At the moment, Test cricket is a 4-5 nation sport, really. It's not even a 10 nation sport, it's a 4-5 nation sport. T20 is a 13-14 nation sport. You saw, for example, at the last T20 World Cup that Holland won a couple of games, that Ireland did actually very well. So T20 is democratizing the sport.
So now with the 2020 coming up, do you, at least in your lifetime, would you ever imagine to see cricket being included in the Olympics?
It'll be nice. I think there are certain issues with it going to the Asian Games and the Olympics, but I think it'll be good because it's a huge national outpouring when you go to places like the Asian Games and the Olympics, which is very similar to what happens when you go to the World Cup. So I'd like it to be there, but I don't know what's coming in the way at the moment. But I definitely like it to go. I mean, who thought tennis would go to the Olympics? And then we still remember Leander bringing home a bronze. I still remember seeing Leander and Mahesh 2 Olympics ago, and I was up at 2 in the morning, and they were trailing on a tiebreaker, and it engaged me enormously. So I'd love cricket to be in the Olympics.
Harsha सहित आगुकु आउरी कथा बा एबे नेजिबा गोटे छोट बिरति बिरति परे पुणी थरे स्वागत. You must have come to Odisha many times for matches.
Every time I come to Cuttack it rains. No, but I've seen some.
How has the experience been at Bharati Stadium? What would you think of the stadium in terms of its facilities? And
I'll tell you what, the two things that I remember about the Bharati Stadium. One is, till you've actually been inside, you don't realize how big it is.
Right.
We all think of Odisha, Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, and you don't realize what a large stadium it is. As soon as you enter the stadium, you say,
huge.
Wow, this is big. The other thing is, I remember doing a test match there in '95, and I think it coincided with something called the Bali Yatra.
Yeah.
And it was in Qatar. Isn't the Bali Yatra in Qatar? And I was fascinated by the fact that there were actually seafarers who had trade links with Indonesia. As far back there, I don't know. That's a legend I was told. But
that's the legend behind it.
That's a legend I was told. But I was fascinated to see, not far from the Bharati Stadium, the Bali Yatra taking place. That's my other memory, apart from the fact that it rains.
On a serious note, why isn't Cuttack or Bharati Stadium chosen for more match venues? Because that's one of our listeners, one of our viewers has asked the question that, do you think that's what the suggestion is, any politics involved when it comes to selection? Because it's a pretty good stadium,
it's
and
a nice
we
stadium.
love cricket as well, so there's no reason why.
I have no idea why there aren't more matches here. I think it would help if Odisha became a bigger powerhouse in cricket, so maybe that would draw more matches there. but I have no idea what goes on behind the
What
scenes.
do you
And
mean
I'm
by
very happy not
powerhouse?
to
You know,
know.
more people to lobby behind?
No, more people just playing cricket and
Just
becoming a
playing
more
cricket.
powerful sport. For example, till the SS Das came in and played cricket for India, you didn't think that a top-level batsman would come out of Odisha. I saw Debashish Mohanty bowl in the Sahara Cup, and then again in the '99 World Cup. He had a sort of little burst of 2 wickets that turned the game, and you didn't think that a Debashish Mohanty would come from there. Maybe Shahs Ranjit Biswal. Why there are not more matches coming here? Because Ranjit Biswal is a prominent figure here, and Ranjit has been an under-19 India captain.
Yeah, that's a message for him now.
Ranjit, for you.
So, because I remember the 90s when Debashish Mohanty debuted, we were all super excited that, you know, somebody from Orissa, but then again, you know, the instances are rare when somebody from Orissa actually...
I think you need a larger base.
So what would you advise to all the people, all the youngsters from Orissa aspiring to become cricketers?
I think for a start, play every sport. And when you go out to play cricket, don't be afraid of failing. I think a lot of young cricketers try so hard to become successful that going out and scoring runs or taking wickets almost becomes like an exam. They're almost scared of doing it because if I don't do well, then what? I just think they should go out and have a lot of fun. But I think you need a far bigger base. I think when there's a bigger base, more and more people come through. I mean, who thought that Ranchi would produce India's best cricketer?
Right.
Who thought that Najafgarh would produce a fantastic player? How many people thought that a great player would come from Jalandhar? Who thought that one of our best new ball bowlers would come from Kerala?
True.
So one of the things that's happened in Indian cricket in the last 15 years, 20 years, is that cricket has genuinely spread to every corner. I mean, I look at young Sanju Samson bat. I don't want to boost him up too much before it's his time, but he's got a wow factor about him, and he's come from Kerala. So who's to say that India's next big superstar will not come from Rourkela?
There was another question on Twitter, and they've asked, what are your thoughts on Pragyan Ojha?
Who is from my Hyderabad, not from your Orissa.
Because they didn't get an opportunity here.
I know, he's an Orissa boy who's moved to Hyderabad to play cricket. Actually, I didn't even know that. Last time I met him, he said, no, I'm Odia.
Yeah.
I said, Miya, mere ko laga Hyderabadi hai tum, because, you know, I grew up in Hyderabad, so I thought he's Hyderabadi, but I hope he does well. I hope he does well. I think increasingly in cricket, though, you need to contribute to your side in 2 or 3 different ways. So if he can just pick up his batting and fielding a little more, he'll contribute more ways.
All round.
But remember, his last test match, he got 10 wickets, didn't he? In his last test match, so he's there.
Your book, The Winning Way, with your wife Anita, talks about success and failures, like you say. So what is your definition of success in your personal life?
Because I'm glad you said failure, because success and failure live alongside. And how you handle failure very often determines how much success you will get. If you think failure is going to condemn you to jail for the rest of your life, in a manner of speaking, then you will be too scared of failure to achieve success. But I think being successful is becoming the best that you can be, not always becoming number one. I think a lot of us think successful means you have to be number one, but you may not have the resources to be number one. Your resources may be becoming the best that you can be. I mean, I often give the example, say the newspaper that you run. Can Chambad be bigger than Times of India in its size? No. But can it become the number one in its area? Yes, that is its definition of success. So I think success is becoming the best you can be in the resources that you have available to you.
Right. So we have another question on Facebook. Somebody has said, "Hi Harsha, I love your commentary. I want to know, who do you think is the best ever captain of the Indian team?"
You know, captaincy is also determined by what stage your team is in. Sourav Ganguly was a brilliant captain for India. He came in at a time when Indian cricket was down in the dumps, but there was a new generation of Indian players coming in. You know, suddenly you had the Zahir Khans, the Harbhajans, the Sehwags, the Yuvrajas, people coming from different parts of India, all very ambitious, and they needed someone to put wind into their sails and say, young men, go and play, I'm behind you. And that is what Saurav's biggest contribution to Indian cricket was, letting the Sehwags, the Harbhajans, the Yuvrajas, giving them their place in the sun. I like Dhoni enormously as a captain. I think he brings a great sense of calm and dignity to the job. But who's to say Tiger Pataudi wasn't a great leader for India at a time when we as a nation didn't believe in ourselves? And then the spinners and the Vishwanaths and the Gavaskars and all emerged at that time. So I think you're a leader your success as a leader depends on the context that you're in. I thought Rahul Dravid was a magnificent captain for India.
Right.
Because at that time you didn't need a sort of Ganguly kind of captain. But overall, I think Ganguly, Dravid, Dhoni, India have been blessed with captains. Really blessed. Kumble, in that little time that he was there, India have been blessed with magnificent leaders.
Another question from Twitter. Somebody's asked, why do you always have to be politically correct? Why is Harsha
Me?
Bhogle always... I don't think so, but
You
is
don't
that the
think so?
perception?
I'm not by nature a very confrontational person. I'm a happy person. And I like what is happening around me. So I don't try to be politically correct because so often I end up on the wrong side of people in power. And it happens even today. There are a lot of people who don't like what I say, but I'm uncomfortable with being seen to be influential. I still don't think I am, and when people tell me, you're a very influential voice, I say, oh, that's putting pressure on me now. But I think I enjoy sport for what it stands for more than the confrontations outside the playing field. I have very strong views on DRS. I have very strong views on the kind of cricket India should play. But I like my game in the confines of the ground, and I like the great emotion and the ambition and all that goes with the game. But I'm honestly not interested in who runs cricket. People want you to be who they want you to be.
Right.
And I'm not that person.
And then pick up something from what you see.
Maybe, but I'm not that person. So maybe I'm letting them down, and I accept the fact that I'm letting them down. But if I'm letting them down, so be it. I'm just not that person.
Right. So when it comes to your commentary, your one-liners, some of them are crackers, and people absolutely love the humor element you add to your commentaries. So are you like that in real as well, or is it just something you put up for the audiences?
No, I sit behind a microphone, I watch a game, and I just enjoy it. I'm very happy. I don't rehearse lines. But, you tend to remember the good lines because people talk about them, but a lot of very ordinary ones that come through as well, which I hope people forget quickly. So you get, it's like a batsman, when a batsman plays some great shots, you remember them. There's some very ordinary shots that maybe a little thick edge down to third man. No one remembers a thick edge down to third man. I have my share of thick edges down to third man as well.
So you've been commentating for years and years, and I think as long as I can remember.
So there you go again.
So
Okay.
have you ever been bored? Do you ever think that, oh no, I don't want to go and do the same thing again today?
No, never. I get up every morning and I think I'm very lucky to be in the greatest sport that man has ever known. Man has ever known in a manner of speaking, in the greatest sport that the world has known. And I'm very, very lucky to have such a big role to play in the greatest sport of all. No. I'll tell you where I do get bored. I get bored when I'm hosting a game and then for 3 hours I've got nothing to do and I'm just sitting and watching. I like to be involved in the game. I love watching sport, make no mistake, but I like to be in the game all the time, just as a batsman likes to be in the game. But no, I haven't got up one morning and said, oh God, another match? No. If I have to think like that, then I'm letting people down. I shouldn't be doing it.
So your passion is still intact, you don't think it's a job?
Oh, thank God it is. No, I've never gone to work in my life even one day.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So tell us, there's a question from another viewer, and he says that, when you're inside the commentary box, you come up with all these facts and figures, like they're on your fingertips. Do you get any technical support, or do you actually have a great memory?
Do you want me to tell you the truth?
Yeah.
I don't know numbers at all.
You don't remember
any? There is this wizard who sits next to us most times called Mohandas Menon.
Oh, okay.
You just tell him, Mohan, how much is Rohit Sharma average in South Africa? Because I have a feeling, he doesn't average a lot. He gives you the answer. So what happens is we have impressions, we have ideas, we have theories, hypotheses, but the numbers come from someone else because that person, that is his role. If that person wasn't there, then maybe we would have worked out the numbers more. I think I used to know numbers much better 15, 20 years ago. But today we are fed with data so much, and increasingly you'll find that cricket commentary will become analytics and data driven. Because that's how it should be. We can't just sit up there and say, this is what I think. I think he doesn't like playing outside the off stump. And you can turn around and tell me, but how do you know? Then I must have percentage of balls played and missed outside off stump. Number of times he's played in that area and played and missed. And you'll find increasingly on Star Sports, for example, it's becoming a lot of data and analytics driven. That is the future of cricket commentary.
Harsha Bhogle wears many hats. So you are
Well, now it doesn't
commentator.
need to. It's got. Yeah.
You're a commentator, TV presenter, columnist, journalist, writer, husband, and father. What role do you love the most?
I hope I hope I'm a good husband, because my wife's given me far too much to make good for in a lifetime. I'm very close to my family. I'm happiest when I'm with family, because I still think that's the only team you're ever part of. I'm very proud to belong to Star Sports. I'm very proud to anchor live cricket in India. But my number one team is always my family, because they're always there for you. So yeah, I think that's what gives me more happiness than anything else. But yeah, the sound of bat hitting ball, there is no sweeter sound. People will tell me that when Ravi Shankar plucks the sitar and the sound it makes, to me, the sound that VVS Lakshman makes when the ball goes out through mid-wicket, chick, that's music too for me. So I have many hats, but I'm very happy playing every one of them.
What would you say has been a defining moment or the turning point in your life?
Oh, so many. I think going to IIM Ahmedabad was a huge thing in the world for me.
Is it as good as it sounds, or is it made out to be?
It was, I mean, for me, who didn't believe he was good enough to get into IIM Ahmedabad, to go there, to be accepted, was huge for me. To be given the responsibility by Star to be presenting a telecast to so many people who are watching. You've got to get up every morning and say thank you. You can't get up every morning and say, you know what, I'm this dude, man. Guys, listen to me. I'm hosting cricket for you. No. We have the great privilege of entering people's houses. I mean, this program is going into people's houses, and we've got to be grateful for that. So I get up every morning. I'm grateful for what I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, getting into IIM Ahmedabad was a huge turning point. Marriage was a colossal turning point. Playing cricket for my university is something I'm very proud of. For the amount of cricket I played, I'm very proud of the fact that I played for my university. I'm very proud of the fact that I sit with Saurabh and Rahul and I get respect. That's fantastic.
In all these years, any embarrassing moments?
Many, virtually every day. When you're in
Anyone
live
which has
television,
stayed with you?
so many.
Still makes you feel...
Many, not one or two, many. Because, I mean, you ask Tendulkar at the end of a career, and I'm not trying to draw a comparison there, saying, are there dismissals that you're very disappointed by? Of course. How many times did Tendulkar get out in his career? If Tendulkar can get out so many times in his career, what's a mistake for me?
I think you said in an interview once that, making mistakes is fine, not learning from them is criminal.
Yeah, I mean, you're allowed to make mistakes.
Right.
But remember, you're allowed to make the mistake once, maybe a second time. If you make a mistake a third time, it means you don't care for the mistake or you're not learning from it. Then you're not allowed that.
We've had recent controversies in the past. So what are your, again, you'd like to stay away from them, but what are your views about sportspersons, joining politics and not doing justice to?
Look, we all come into this world with a certain set of skills. If a sportsman has the skill to be a successful politician apart from his sporting skills, then there's no problem at all. That's absolutely fine. You have people who've made a difference coming into politics. Narendra Modi says he's a chaiwala, he's come into politics. You'd say, can a chaiwala be in politics? You'll say no, but he can, right? Because he has that set of skills. Or you had Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was a poet who came into politics and did a very good job of it. You've got Shashi Tharoor, who comes from a different background completely. So if you have the set of skills to do that's fine. If you've got a sportsman who has the skills to be in politics, that's fine. Navjot Sidhu did it for 3-4 terms in parliament.
Any unfulfilled wish?
A little personal. No, none at all. None at all. I've been blessed. I've got more than I ever deserved to get. So no.
Thanks a lot, Harsha, for talking to
Thanks, Tana.
talking to us.
Thanks.
Thanks.